Hope you're well. Just a really important topic this week. Some of you will think this is super boring, right? That's okay. I don't mind. The topic is this topic of governance, which is how do you review the work that's being done? How do you set up a project? How do you set up an initiative in a way that doesn't constrain the people that are running it? And how do you do it in a way that shares power, not holds power, but also so that you have enough information to come back to your stakeholders with information about what's happening and what's going on? I know that most people have a problem with setting these up in the right way so that they're not either too like constricting and they don't centralize power too much for the people that are in them. And on the other hand, they're not too loose so that no one has any idea about what's going on. So I've sort of spent the last month or so, thinking about this stuff and then sort of working with clients and seeing how they do things. And my perspective is not the only perspective. My perspective is not right. It's not wrong. It's an offering to the world. It's an offering to you around how you might use it, implement it in your world. All right. So first things first, let's talk about what it is. So really quick definition, a couple of key words. I know this feels like school, but I feel like we do need to define it to some extent because people don't know what it is. Basically, it's a system of decision-making among the people involved in a collective problem, right? So if you've got a simple problem in your business, like, you've got debtors, too many debtors, and you need to get money into your business, you can, that's a fairly simple problem. You can give accountability to the accounts receivable person and they can follow up on it. Now, when it comes to your strategy of your organization, let's say you want to make some change, you've got to go after a different market. You've got to consolidate or reduce costs in a particular area. That doesn't just involve one person. It's not simple. It involves multiple people in your organization and multiple people being involved in making that happen. So in these collective complex problems, these are the ones I'm interested in around, well, what decision-making processes have you got set up to make that happen? Now, in those situations, there is two things. First of all, there's a technical problem. Let's think about in the situation I gave you, it's the accounts payable or the debtors problem. All right. Or that's the simple version. On the complex side, it's, I need to shift my strategy. That's your technical thing that you need to achieve. Now, where governance plays a role is because around every problem is the social system. And what is a social system is a fancy word for how people interact and and the planning, controlling, accountability around getting that thing done. Because it is a social system, which means that people are involved, which means that it's always going to be a little bit messy, right? And, people don't always follow the rules. Then you're going to have a system to govern that so that you can get a sense of progress towards achieving something. Now, where this is important is if you work in an organization that where you've kind of inherited a culture around governance. And it's worth, I think, general principle for my work in general is you cannot change the outside world. You can only change how you relate to it. So, a lot of my principles are go within first. Always go within, seeing your own feelings, your own thoughts, your own assumptions, your own cycles of emotional cycles, how you're feeling about different things. All of these play into your ability to around whether you're clashing or working with the culture you're in. your organization at the moment will have an approach to the social system, the governance system around organizing how things get done. And it's really a question of, is this going to be right for the situation you're in? So in the coming 3, 4, probably 4 blogs on this, we'll talk about how this applies to planning work, how it applies to executing work, how it applies to reviewing work, how it applies to creative work. And as I explain that, so that you can think about the governance system in your own organization, I want you to think about then this mixer desk things. So if you were designing one from scratch, a system, put aside all the project management tools around Gantt charts and milestones and action plans and all the stuff that we've built up to review and plan work. Let's just think about the principles. So the principles I would think about are the collective intent of your system, right? So is it there to be for the self-interest of a few, or is it there for the collective or mutual interest of a wide range of people? Okay, so you've got to, that's the first sort of question you've got to ask yourself. You can see down here, the second one is this, which is around structure and authority. Do you want to set this thing up to be hierarchical and top down, or bottom up and what I call horizontally diverse, in the sense that the structure is it, instead of, it's best to draw this, instead of the structure being diverse in terms of its role distribution in the organization, so very top down, what is the representation of people horizontally in the organization in terms of different people from different places? So if you want to get something done fast, you can do it this way. If you want to get something done right, and right's an opinion, by the way, it's not a fact. But again, the fast that will determine the structure of your system. Okay, so structure and authority. The third one is power distribution. So if you're going to define this, do you want power centralized with a few people, or do you want it decentralized and giving power to people in terms of how they work? So think about, when you centralize power, you're always kind of looking over your shoulder, because people are, out here looking in, and they're going, what's going on over there? And people start to make assumptions, yeah. Whereas when you tend to decentralize power, you're quite open with the way the system works. People can, there's a level of transparency. Fourth one here is your review rhythm. So governance systems can either be annual or scheduled. So the schedule in the system happen every annual. We review the business, we do all of that. We get all the financial information, this information, we look at it all, we make decisions, blah, blah, blah. Or they can be, let's change the pen, regular, responsive, and as needed when things come up. You think about, a board tends to work in a public company with little change. And over here, you might have a startup or a smaller company that is quite nimble. Next one is, your external orientation. What's your assumption about the outside world? So is it a closed feedback loop? All right, so that means that essentially decision-making takes place inside the four walls. All right. We look at our internal data, you know, our financials, all that sort of stuff, and we make decisions about that. An open system says, actually, you know what? There is no four walls. Here we are, and we are connected to other organizations, to partners, to suppliers, to customers, to everyone in the world. And it's those interconnections that give us the data that we need to govern this organization. And fifth, what's your philosophy of, or sixth, I think, what's your philosophy of information? How is it captured, held, and shared? And, you know, in some organizations, it's centrally held versus it's collected, it's distributed. Sorry, it's collected from the edges and then distributed back to the edges. So this one looks like this, which is, it's captured, captured centrally and held centrally. And this one looks like this, which is it's captured here on the edges of the organization with people. It's held here, but then it's distributed back. Now, some organizations could actually capture and hold here, which many do, at the edge. And it's only when the central asks for it, do they ask for it. So again, what I've just, let me review. You may have never thought about governance, the decision-making that's built into your organization around how things get done and for your collective goals, your collective decision-making. But it's really important that you do. We're entering a new phase of the way that stuff the way that can be built and done. And I want you to think about the principles upon which you set that up around collective intent, structure, authority, power distribution, review rhythm, external orientation, and the way information is shared, captured, and held. I hope that's been useful. Any questions around governance, let me know. Next time we'll talk more around detail about how this relates to how work is organised, controlled, and done. Talk soon on The Reason on the Road. Love your work. See ya. Bye.